Do you wanna get hired? Well, please listen to me. When was the last time you edited your resume? It's looking raggedy.
Time to boss up. Fix your credit, girl. Get at it. Get your bag up. Hit that
And welcome back to my anxiety-filled life. If you already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back for another video once again and seeing this face. If this is the first time you are seeing this face, welcome, and hopefully you stick around, like the content, and subscribe and join the family because it's great over here with my peeps. Just letting you know. Class of 2020 definitely had it rough with this whole pandemic, the most unpredictable event to happen in 2020, and it's rolled into 2021, so sorry class of 2021. This pandemic really hit hard for a lot of people, where some people are either furloughed, jobless and still working for a job after graduation, or in general they just can't level up in their position. So yeah, I really don't want to sound pessimistic, but I think there is a bit of hope. Polishing your resume can be the key to putting your best foot forward and getting you that job that you want, or leveling up at the current company that you work at. So I'm going to give you 5 tips that have worked for me when I revised my resume. So let's get into today's video. In general, your resume is the first thing that the HR representative sees before they stalk your LinkedIn and all your social media profiles, so make sure you scrub them, seriously. But yeah, that one document is their introduction to you, so you got to make it look good and make a good first impression. So I'm going to jump right into it by starting with formatting. I wanted to start with formatting because whether your HR person that is reviewing your resume is either reviewing it by hand or using an ATS system, the format just needs to be right. If you don't remember anything that I've said in this video when it comes to formatting, just remember these 2 things. You want to make sure that you're keeping up with your consistency, that you have some kind of font hierarchy, and that you have concise bullet points. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into that. So when I talk about consistency, some of the things that you want to look out for is the font type. So whether you're using Times New Roman, Calibri, or Arial, you know, make sure that you're keeping it consistent throughout the entire document. You can't have Times New Roman somewhere up there and then switch over to Arial at the bottom. So just keep it consistent. Also, when it comes to formatting, you want to make sure that the following things are consistent as well: your font size, your tab spacing, your margins, and your date formatting. So don't have let's say it's February 2nd, 2021. Don't put 2/2/2021 and then another space, put February 2nd, 2021. You want to make sure that whatever you're using at the top, you use throughout the entire document. When I talk about font size hierarchy, let me just go a little bit more in depth with that. So obviously your name should be the biggest font because that's the first thing that's going to bring attention to who you are, who your identity is. So make sure your name at the top is the biggest font on the entire document. As we get into the sections, make sure that each section title has the same font. And then if you want to save some space, I usually go down 2-point sizes for the font for the bullet points, so that everything's consistent, everything fits together. You can tell one section from another. I think it's just a cleaner way to make your resume look more neat. Now I want to get into the concise bullet parts portion. So everybody should know this, but you should not be having a huge paragraph on your resumes. Everything should be bulleted. And when I say that, don't make really long sentences. Try to keep it as concise as possible. The reason I say this is that it's easier on the eye for recruiters because they don't want to read a long essay. They want to get tidbits of, you know, your responsibilities and what you've done really quickly. Like, they have hundreds and thousands of resumes to read daily. So try to keep it easier for them so that they might like you a little bit better. And this is just one last tidbit for formatting, but in general, you want to keep your resume to 1 page. If you have a extensive history, it might be 2 pages. Like, just make sure that they're applicable to the job. So say that you're out of college and you're looking for a job. If your high school experience, whatever job you work then, does not apply to the job you're looking for, then take it off. It doesn't need to be there. Try to keep it to 1 page as much as possible. So let's get into the most important portion of the resume, the work experience. First thing I want to mention is that there is a difference between your tasks and your accomplishments when you're bulleting underneath your work experience. So what do I mean by that? Recruiters care less about the responsibilities that you had, because when they see your title, they probably have a good idea of what you've done. Try to quantify them. For example, you can say stuff like increase customer satisfaction by following up with them and yada yada yada. But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what you need to say. I did this and this is what resulted from it. So that should be like the kind of formula that you should be using under each bullet. This is a big one. Do not by any means necessary list the salaries from your previous jobs. Do not say how much money you made per hour. Do not say the salary if it's, if you were yearly, but don't do it, because it's going to ruin your negotiating advantage. They're gonna know, hey, this is what they were getting paid, maybe I could just pay them a little bit more so that they're happy. No, don't do it. Leave it off of your resume. You don't need it. The next thing I want to mention is that you should not be using any I statements in your entire resume. It should never start with like, I did this, yada yada yada, I completed this, yada yada yada. No. You should start every bullet point with an action word. So you can say conducted, maintained, assessed, those type of words. So those are the examples. You can even look up like resume action words and then figure out which ones apply to your responsibilities and the results that you created from whatever job and whatever position. So just keep that in mind. Lastly, as a general tip, do not put every single detail about all the responsibilities and results that came from your job underneath your work experience. You can leave some things off, because 9 times out of 10 the recruiter is going to ask you, tell me something that is not on this resume. So take off 2 or 3 bullets so that you have something to present to them when they say, hey, tell me something about this position that is not on this resume. You don't have to put every single thing. These should be just like snippets so they can get an idea of the type of work that you did and what kind of results you produce. The next part is proofreading. One of the most important parts when you're revising your resume. Proofreading is crucial before you send out your resume to anyone, whether you're using one of those automated systems where you kind of plug and chug your resume and it sends it out to a bunch of companies, or if you are, doing an individual one based on the company and, applying on their website. So proofread. I can't say it enough. If you don't remember anything from this video, make sure you proofread like a mad person. Not only does it look unprofessional when you have mistakes in your resume, but you might have your resume pushed aside if the ATS system picks up on these mistakes. So yeah, you don't want that. So my first tip about proofreading is that if you're going to be like copy and pasting your resume into a job website like Glassdoor or Indeed.com or all those types of recruiting websites, make sure that you proofread everything. Make sure the formatting is right before you copy and paste, because it's not going to fix it once you put it in. Make sure that everything's good. The next tip is that I advise that you read your resume 3 times. The first time, I would say, is important for catching mistakes. The second time is to make sure that whatever bullet points that you're putting underneath your work experience makes sense to the job that you're applying for. And then the last one is for tone, like who is the audience that is going to be receiving your resume. You have to keep that in mind. So yeah. Now once you've proofread your resume and looked over it 3 times, have a second set of eyes look at your resume, because in your mind everything else might make sense and you might be rushing over mistakes, like simple ones like maybe a misspelling error, or you forgot a comma here or something, or you put periods at the end of your sentences somewhere and then to other places you didn't put a period. So just have a second set of eyes so they can catch these little things, because you've been working really hard on your resume alone, but sometimes you're overlooking certain things. So I definitely suggest having a friend, family member, professional, somebody look at your resume and give you feedback. This last part is just general tips for any resume. So I'm going to start with tailoring your resume for the job that you want. So when I say this, I mean like you go to the website, see what the description is, what keywords they're using, and use those words in your resume, because that's what the ATS system is going to be looking for. That's what the recruiter is going to be looking for, and they're looking for it by hand. They want to see if you are a match for the job. So try to make them look synonymous with each other. The next tip is like, don't use a lot of graphics and colors in your resume. Try to keep it as simple as possible. Mine personally, I keep the white background with the black font. I don't do any crazy colors. If you're in a more creative field, maybe you might want to use that, but try to see like what other professionals have used for their resumes to get their jobs. You could always like Google your position and see like resume templates to see what other people have used. Just like putting a photo is not always applicable to every single job. So like for my job, I didn't need to put a photo for my resume, but yeah, it differs from position to position. The next tip is kind of obvious, but make sure that you're putting your newest positions first and then your oldest ones at the bottom. But yeah, I kind of mentioned this before, but I just want to reiterate it again. Do not clutter your resume. Do not add in things that don't need to be there, such as objectives. Objectives are kind of obsolete. You don't really need an objective. Like, oh, I want to become an engineer. Like they know that because you're applying for that job. Like, it doesn't make sense to have an objective anymore. My last general tip is to add a summary of skills that pertain to the job that you're applying for and put it at the bottom so that they can see what kind of things that they're looking for, and just to see that it matches. And you can probably find that by either looking on Glassdoor and figuring out what kind of skills that position might have, or looking at the description and just taking keywords, just like I said before. So that's all of my general tips that I have for adding your resume. If you made it here to the end, thank you so much for kicking it with me so far. I hope that these tips really help, because they've helped me literally get every job that I've had since high school, middle school. So I've always edited my resumes myself, and I've taken a lot of these tips from the internet and YouTube, and just compiling those and seeing what works. And these tips have definitely worked for me and have helped me get those interviews, like get that foot in the door. So let me know if these tips work for you. Try them out. Let me know if you have seen an increase in your interviews. And yeah, just be honest and candid with me. If you don't agree with some of my tips, let me know why, and leave it in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you think I left out any that you think might be important, also leave it in the comments, because I can always make a part 2, because I'm definitely going to be adding more career content on my YouTube channel. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Always comment, like, and subscribe. Share to your family, friends, colleagues, whoever. But yeah, as per usual, spend wisely, stay safe, and you're doing the best you can. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Young, broken, independent, not broken, not quitting, I'ma get it. Even though I still struggle, I'm sufficient. Like what's up, aiming how it's business. Believe me, it's finna happen. They call them detours, we call it passion. How many no's you receive? I just stopped counting. So why you still doing it? I'ma cash in the fountain. See this dream dance between my ear canal, lives inside my heart like a future child. Possess the wisdom in between my smile. The world gotta see me, it may take a while. That's okay, it's prepared for. Played a lot of shows I had to pay for. Define the crowd, me, myself, and I, and the DJ and my homeboys. Good things say sometime, I'm like, ooh yeah. Patience is a virtue when I'm moving. Looking at my life, it's a movie. Lot of ups and downs, I'm sticking to it. I got the sauce, I got the drip. I make the play, I get the assist. Impossible, it exists. The slow grind made a better trip.